for those of you who have seen prior ones, you know that we do a lot of background in them. So this time it's going to be mostly drinks and less background. But I do, as always, want to start with safety. So just everyone knows this, common sense. For the purposes of drinks, we'll define them as 1 12-ounce beer, 1 4-ounce wine, 1 1/4 ounce of 80 proof liquor. Most of these liquors are 80 proof, or 1 ounce of 100 proof. We won't see a lot of that, but the thing is, most of these drinks are 1.5 to 2. So these aren't super strong drinks tonight, but they go down very easy. They're very tasty. So it's very easy to rack up a lot of drinks. So if you're trying more than 1 or 2 or 3 of these tonight, some of these will freeze. So the ones that are cream based will probably not freeze, but you can always just most of these liquors will go right in your freezer, pour it into a mason jar or something and put it in the freezer. Some of them will even still be liquid when you pull them out again, or you can just you know, pull them out and they'll warm up, and you can enjoy them another evening so that you can pace yourself. So we always just want to be cognizant of alcohol safety anytime that we are consuming, or especially if we're serving to our loved ones on Valentine's Day. So we'll start with that, and we'll go right into it. So very few of the drinks on this list are originals. Actually, most of them are not. The only one that I can really claim is an original is the first one on the agenda, which is the hot margarita. So that's the only one that I did not borrow or reverse engineer from a restaurant or something online. So this is one that I've gotten ideas here and there, but this is the first time I've ever actually done this one. So it's a twist on a classic margarita. So as we know, that's a triple sec drink. This particular one is, as you are aware, hot margarita. So we're going to use chili peppers. And the second main ingredient in margaritas is triple sec. But what we're going to do with this is we're going to get some chili peppers that we got from Giant Eagle, just dried chili peppers. And 1 chili pepper to about 4 ounces of triple sec will do the trick. You kind of break it into, they come dried, so you break them up a little bit, put them in there. And overnight, you will see that your liquid turns like almost like a yellow orange, and it does bring some heat. So it is as advertised. It will be a hot margarita. Now we'll still temperature-wise, we're still going to do it in a traditional manner as a cool drink. So we're going to get some ice out. Shaker. All right, and in the shaker, we're going to have 2 ounces of tequila, and we're going to pour tequila out. So for those of you who have come in the past, you know the technique for speed pouring. It's 4 counts to each ounce. So we're going to do 8 counts of tequila. And the other ingredient is 1 ounce of this. Now, the other trick that I'm going to show you, or the other hack that I'm going to show you, is that if you make this, if you get a mason jar that is approximately like an 8 ounce or a larger size, there are some liquors out there that come with these pour tops. So Midnight Moon is one of those. Comes with a pour top like this. So this actually has a pour top that I can still do the speed pouring with the chili pepper infused triple sec. So we're going to do 8 counts of tequila, 4 counts of our chili pepper infused. Okay, and that is the base of our drink. This is not mandatory, but typically margaritas have sweetened lime juice, roses, sweetened lime, most beautiful familiar with this from prior episodes, but this you can actually get in grocery stores. And a lot of this goes a long way, so don't use a ton because you will quickly spoil a drink. So I'm actually going to measure this out as about a ½ ounce. And that gives it that classic lime flavor with the margarita. And we're going to shake that up. But don't forget to rim your glass. Now, since this is a hot margarita, instead of regular margarita salt, we're going to use something a little different. We are going to use, of course, pink Himalayan salt because it's hot, right? So we're going to put that on our dish. It can be anything really, and we're going to rim our glass before we do our. If you do this before you attempt to pour your drink in, obviously. And then we will. Now you can pour this straight. This is just a kind of a classic margarita glass. You can pour this in with the ice cubes, or you can pour it in straight. I'm going to pour it in straight without the ice cubes, just because, in case I end up freezing this later, you don't want to dilute it and leave it with that. But it looks exactly like a standard margarita, but if you want, you can also add in a little bit of either cranberry or pomegranate, or if you want it to be sweeter, you can add in some rose or some grenadine syrup. So this is another one along with the Rose's Lime. It comes in a very similar bottle that you can also get this in a grocery store or the state liquor stores here in PA. So it's a red syrup. There's not really much real grenadine in it. Grenadine is a fruit, like a citrusy type fruit. This is probably mostly artificial ingredients, but you buy this and it keeps for years. It never really spoils.
John, quick question from the crowd. Is there a substitute for Rose's Lime? Can you make it with fresh squeezed limes?
Yes, you can. You can do it with fresh lime. You can also do it. There are, if you don't like roses, or if you want an alternative to roses, there are brands out there like this, Daly's sweetened lime juice. It comes in a large speed pour, they call them, the bartenders call them. This, I mean, it'll keep for years as long as you keep it in your refrigerator. Once you open it, it is not quite as strong as Rose's lime juice, but this is an alternative, especially if you're making a lot of lime drinks. Fresh is always better, but it's not always feasible to have the limes right at your ready. If you forget to buy them, you can always go to this stuff if you have it. But yes, you can use fresh lime juice. If you do that, you're probably going to want to cut it with a little bit of simple syrup. So you can make your simple syrup, or you can actually get simple syrup again in the grocery store or a liquor store. It comes like this. This stuff doesn't really go bad either if you refrigerate it. Or you can make your own simple syrup, but you're going to want to, if you use lime juice, you might want to do that. Or if you don't mind a tart drink, you can just leave it like that. It's really however to your taste. So as opposed to that margarita kind of lime green and yellow hue, if you add the grenadine, now it looks like a rosé wine almost kind of color. So and with the pink salt, that gives the effect of the hot margarita. But we're not done yet, because normally you would garnish a margarita with a lime wedge, but of course we're going to garnish it with a dried chili pepper. And voila, that is your hot margarita. So that's drink number one. All right. So drink number two. This one was really good when I tried it a while back. It's on the restaurant menu somewhere. It's called the Pink Pear Martini. And these flavors have gotten really popular. And I mean, you can tell that because Absolute actually has almost like the bottled version of this stuff now. I saw it in a liquor store because the two main ingredients are pear flavored vodka, and elderflower liqueur. So there are a number of different pear flavored vodkas out there. The top shelf is like Grey Goose. Absolute's probably like a mid-range, and then they have any number of vodkas that are ankle biters that are into the flavored vodka game. So my advice on flavored liquors and vodkas is I wouldn't go with the high end, because you're going to pay for the name. You're going to pay about a 50% premium on most of those liquors. So this bottle might be $15, $20. The top of the line Grey Goose equivalent might be $30 or $35. Same thing with this is Saint Germain. It's elderflower liqueur. There are other elderflower liqueurs out there. If you don't know if you like these flavors, I would recommend starting. They have all of these in like those little mini bottles that you can get for $2 or $3. So if you haven't tried it yet, you're not sure if you're going to like it, start with those little mini bottles, and then you can decide if you want the full bottle. And because when you buy it, you're not going to, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about tonight, you don't use every day. So once you have it in your stock at home, you'll have it probably for a couple years. It doesn't turn over a lot. A lot of these ingredients are pretty specialized. You don't use a lot. Like this, the grenadine's a couple years old. This one's probably 2 years old. So, I mean, when you have it, you're going to have it for a while. So make sure you enjoy it, and then you can decide to invest in the full bottle. So we will rinse out our shaker here. And we'll get some more ice. We're going to make a pink pear martini. So the ingredients, it's a 2-to-1. So it's going to be very similar to the margarita that we just did. We're going to do an 8 count of the pear flavored vodka and a 4 count of the elderflower liqueur. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we are going to put 3 ounces of pink grapefruit juice. Now, this is what I would advocate actually doing the fresh squeezed. So you can get a pink grapefruit and just squeeze about 3 ounces out of it. And because I don't really have a pour technique for that, we're going to squeeze it right into a glass so that we can measure out what we're going to have. Now you can also, of course, use pink grapefruit juice cocktail or regular grapefruit juice or any fruit juice really, but the pink or the red grapefruit just gives it that nice color, and it has a very nice taste. So let's see if we get 3 ounces out of this, and if we don't, we will switch to a little juicing tool and get some more out of it. Okay, there we got about close to 3 ounces, close enough. So we will put that into our shaker with our other ingredients. And to round it out, we're going to put a little bit of lime juice. So I'll just use the fresh lime, since someone was asking about that. I got a lime here. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of lime juice in there. Now, this particular drink, I think it stands on its own right as is. You can also, if you prefer a sweeter drink, you can add some simple syrup to it. Now, as it happens, I do have a taste tester standing in front of me. So let's see let's see what our taste tester thinks of the Heart Margarita. Because this got a better reception than I thought it would. So that would be our taste tester, Steph. That would be my Valentine. And let's see.
Looks like this one.
So yes, Steph is not shy about the critique, so I know it's good when she says, yeah, I like that one. So that's how I know the hot margarita is good. Now here's the pink pear martini. So what do you think of that? You can show them the color. You can garnish with a pear or a little bit of the.
Can you see it against my shirt? Yeah, there we go.
Cut a chunk of that. So what do you think about the flavor on that?
Yeah, I like it. Did you add the simple syrup?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
So
I think it's like it's sweet enough for me, and I tend to like the little sweeter things.
So again, you can do that to taste. There's your garnish.
I'm gonna put the head inside glass.
Good plan.
Okay.
Yep. So there is our pink pear martini. Okay. So this next one is called Kiss on the Lips, and this is a gimmicky drink, but what it really is, if you break it down, I did reverse engineer this one as well from a drink I'd seen. It is essentially, if you think about what it is, it's a screwdriver. Only instead of vodka, we're going to be using white rum for this one. So Kiss on the Lips, I'm going to make this one in a smaller size and use 2 ounces, but it can scale up. So the best presentation for this one, I think, is a Collins glass, which a full-size Collins glass is basically just a tall cylinder that looks like that. I'm going to use a much smaller one. It'll give you the same idea though, and it won't be, instead of like 4 or 6 ounces of alcohol, we're going to have like 2 ounces in this one. So that will be what we use here. But again, it will give you the idea. So the main ingredient in this one is mango, or if you prefer peach, you can use peach instead. These are mango chunks, just frozen mango chunks from, you just get these at Walmart or Giant Eagle or something like that in a bag. And the advantage of using frozen is you don't have to use any ice then. So you can use fresh if you want, but if you use fresh, then I would put your liquor in the freezer and use like the super cold liquor, or you can always run it through a shaker with some ice. But if you don't want to dilute it, then there you have built-in ice cubes if you use fresh mango chunks. So I'll put this aside here, put this here, and so for this one, we're going to be using 1 ounce of peach schnapps and 1 ounce of white rum. So again, you can easily see where this has its roots. It is a screwdriver. Only instead of using, I mean, you could use, if you prefer vodka, you could make this just using vodka, and essentially that would be it. So we'll do so we're going to do 2 ounces total, 4 ounces of each. So we're going to do a 4 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that fills our glass pretty close. So we'll put our straw in there, and the magic with this one, so the Kiss on the Lips, is your grenadine. So you've got very nice, and this drink is at its prettiest when you very first splash it. So just get a little splash in there. And it makes a nice, if you ever seen like a tequila sunrise or something like that, the red kind of kisses the mango. And there it is. And it's a very refreshing and tasty drink. And who I had in mind when I made this drink featured Dad. I think you can guess who. This would be probably Mom's favorite drink on the menu. So that's your Kiss on the Lips, aka screwdriver with rum. Okay.
We'll try that later tonight, John.
Hey, you can, I'll freeze this one, but this one probably will not freeze solid. So after COVID, you can come have it, but it'll probably freeze solid. You'll probably have to leave it come out, thaw for a little bit. Okay, this next one, as you can see, I have a microwave behind me. And so usually I take it off of here so I have more counter space, but tonight we're going to use it twice, really. The first one, okay, so this drink, this is also not an original. So this actually was when I was in South Bend, there was a friend of the family, so Tom Clemens. And he taught me this drink when I would go over to their house in South Bend every once in a while for dinner while I was at the university. And he taught me this drink. So what you do with this one is, this is a very French drink because you're going to use, you can use bourbon, but it works best with cognac. Okay, so you can use just about any cognac you want. This is just Cavassier, and you're going to use some Chambord, which Chambord is just a raspberry liqueur. And what I've found, this is a very popular drink. Steph really likes this drink. It's very tasty. So all you're going to do is you're going to put roughly 2 ounces of either, you can use brandy, you can use cognac, you could even try it with bourbon or something, a whiskey if you prefer. I would stay away from scotch. The scotch would probably clash a little bit given the smoky nature of it. But we're going to do a 4-to-1 mixture. I found that 4-to-1 is the best ratio. If you're really into sweet, you can do a 3-to-1 or even a 50-50 or 2-to-1 mix, but I use 4-to-1. So we're going to use a 4 count of the Cavassier. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me, 8 count. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about 2 ounces. And then I don't think the pour stop will fit in this. Not really. So I'm just going to measure this out. Since I used 2 ounces, I'm going to put a 1/2 ounce of the Chambord. And if you buy it, it comes in, it's like a globe. It looks like a globe or an orb. That's their marketing, so that's how you can tell it's Chambord. But you can use, there are other raspberry liqueurs. For as much as you're going to use it, this stuff is actually pretty good. It's tasty, and I mean, I've had this for years and years. So you put this directly into your cognac. Again, I wouldn't use super expensive cognac because you're mixing drinks, and just swirl it a little bit. And here's how to make this drink work. Number 1, you're going to want to use a snifter. This drink works best in a snifter. But here is the trick. You put it in the microwave, no more than 15 seconds. So we'll count down there to 15. So we're at 22, 21, 20, 18, 17, 16, 15. Okay, then swirl it again. Now, what really makes this drink is now when you, I know I'm cutting my head off here, but when you put this and bring this up to your face, those vapors are going to hit you, and it smells great. So and it just warms you even before you take a sip. And then you take a sip, and I mean, it's like it literally warms you up. It's physically warm, and it has the warming effect of the cognac, and it's a very tasty drink. It's very easy to drink, even if you don't like cognac or whiskey. So there is our French Valentine's Day. Paris is burning. And okay, this next one that I have on here. Before I get to it, so let me pause and see, do a check-in with Mara. We're at, we're a little past half an hour. We're at 35 after. So let me check in with Mara. Any input so far?
No, just keep running down your list, John.
Okay, so this next one's tricky because I got to make sure that I can get the extension cord. The other thing you don't really see me use much is a blender. And I'll tell you that bartenders hate it when you order a drink that involves a blender. So if you order a drink with from a bartender, tip them well, tip them double your usual amount, because it's a real hassle for a bartender to get out the blender. They'll tell you that if they're honest. But we're going to do this one in the blender because it works best that way. So this one's called Cloud 9. And for this one, we've got another kind of specialty vodka. This is whipped cream vodka. And this is another one. You buy it once and you're probably going to have it in your house for 5 years or more. I mean, unless you're really into whipped cream vodka. So the other main ingredient in this one is fresh strawberries and heavy whipping cream. So as you can see, this is going to be a very tasty drink. So we're going to get our frozen strawberries. I would use frozen strawberries. Okay, so the presentation on this drink, if you use a half a cup of frozen strawberries, it will be almost like an adult smoothie. So you're going to get the tartness and the tanginess of the strawberries. It's going to be pink like a McDonald's strawberry milkshake. That is what you're going to get. If you would prefer one that is a little on the whiter side, so like a fluffy cloud, what you can do is just use 1 or 2 frozen strawberries or even 1 or 2 fresh strawberries, and then use ice to fill the rest of it. But you're going to want to use a half a cup of either ice and or frozen strawberries or a mix of the two. So I like the tanginess of it, so I'm going to use all strawberries. I'm going to measure out a half a cup of strawberries here. Frozen strawberries. All right. And we're going to put them in our blender. And then we're going to use 2 ounces of the whipped cream vodka. So an 8 count. All right, and then we're going to use 2 ounces of, I use heavy whipping cream. You could use light whipping cream. If you use half and half, you're probably going to need a little more of it and it won't be as fluffy. If you use heavy cream, you're going to get a very fluffy texture, a thick, rich drink, like I said, almost like an adult smoothie. So because we can't do the 3-pour technique with heavy cream, we're going to measure it out and do 2 ounces of it. And put that in there, and you're going to want to blend this. You don't want to let this sit really for a long time because sometimes the vodka will make your cream curdle. So you want to kind of get this going as quickly as you can. So I got my base here. I apologize, I know that's pretty noisy. All right, well, my frozen strawberries kind of stuck together a little bit, so I'm gonna let's try this again. Okay, again, it's going to be noisy. Okay, that's better. Now, the garnish on this one, we're going to do baking sugar, and we're going to do red and white baking sugar, just kind of scatter it on a tray or a lid. And I use either limes or an orange wedge or something like that. I find that to be a pretty convenient way to get your glass rim wet whenever you rim your glass. So that's what I do. And then we're going to get the garnish on there. Okay. Then we're going to carefully, so we don't knock all of the garnish off, transfer our Cloud 9 mix into our glass. And a straw. And I'll bring it out for you. And the straw really is probably more for looks than anything, because this is a pretty thick liquid. It's you know, you're probably going to sip it as opposed to pull it through a straw, unless you get like a bigger straw. But that's what it looks like, and I assure you, it's very tasty with the whipped cream vodka and the strawberries and the cream. And there is our Cloud 9. And again, that is using 100% frozen strawberries. If you make it with less strawberries and more ice, it will be like a cloud, or like a Cloud 9, and it'll be white. So, our taste tester. So, Steph is a huge fan of Paris is Burning, so I'm not even gonna waste her time with that. She will speak to that drink, right?
Yes, it's delicious. Again, it's a nice balance of sweetness and richness and depth, and yeah.
So, Cloud 9.
Oh, that is this the whipped cream
Whipped
vodka
cream
one?
vodka, strawberries, and I'm gonna have a little bit here myself.
Mm. I mean, that's delicious. It's like
It's adult smoothie.
festive grown up, yeah, milkshake. I was gonna say milkshake, but yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that one, if you pull out the blender to make drinks, that's how you really show your loved one that they are special. So that is going the extra mile for your Valentine. The next one, oh, I forgot the chocolate syrup.
Oh, you need some chocolate syrup.
Yeah. So, all right, let's skip that one and we'll go.
That's another delicious one. They're all good. They're all good.
So yeah, if you could bring the chocolate syrup, I forgot that. So this next one, a white chocolate martini. So we've done chocolate martinis, I think probably in the first episode when we did vodka. So this one I had seen in a restaurant again, and I didn't think much of it at first because I'm not a huge white chocolate fan. I like regular chocolate, but this is actually quite tasty. And when I discovered what you need for it, which is Godiva white chocolate liqueur, I like the regular Godiva chocolate liqueur. That's what I use for chocolate martinis. But for this one, we're going to use white chocolate liqueur, and this stuff is actually pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 50-50 mix of the Godiva and raspberry liqueur. So this is essentially a white chocolate martini. It has a little bit of raspberry flavor to it because we're going to use the raspberry flavored vodka, but you could just as easily do this with regular vodka. So, but Steph likes raspberry vodka, right? So we're going to do it with raspberry vodka. Let's see. All right. So this one.
One question from the crowd, John. What is the shelf life of the white chocolate liqueur?
If it is essentially indefinite, it does not even say that it needs to be refrigerated. I mean, it's 15% alcohol. So, you know, it would be, however you keep your Baileys, this stuff would be about the same. So, you know, it's essentially a strong wine. It's like 30 proof, 15% alcohol. So it's not going to spoil. If you want to be safe, refrigerate it. If you refrigerate it, it'll certainly keep for a long time. But yeah, it would not spoil due to the alcohol content. And they have smaller of these. They have like a size. This is, I think, like, this is 750 milliliters. They have them in 375 milliliter. They're a little smaller bottles. If you're not sure if you like it, like I said, I haven't seen them lately, but you can get the little mini ones to try it out and see if you like it. Okay, so we're going to actually, before we mix it, so you got the chocolate syrup stuff. Oh, there it is. Before we actually pour this and let it start diluting, the trick with this drink is again the garnish. So what you do to make it work best is you chill a martini glass in the freezer. And put this up here. I'm trying to make some room here. Try to put this where we can see it. So you can see how frosty that is out of the freezer. And this is chilled, just regular Hershey's chocolate syrup. You can use like the stuff that, you know, like the baristas use like for coffee, chocolate syrup. But what you're going to want to do is just very light drizzle. Don't squeeze it hard. You want to make it as thin as possible. And zigzag back and forth, make kind of like a checkerboard pattern. And if your glass is cold and your chocolate's cold, it freezes in a nice pattern like that. And it's going to look nice underneath your white Godiva. So now we'll go to mix in. So this is raspberry vodka. This is Godiva white chocolate liqueur. We're going to do a 6 counts because we're going to do 1.5 ounces of each for a 3-ounce drink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay, so when you pour that in, again, that looks nice. It looks as nice as it's going to look right now. In about 6 or 7 minutes, that will start to dissolve, and then you'll get a little bit of, you know, you'll turn into a chocolate martini, you know, regular chocolate martini. Now, if you want to include your young ones, or if you want to take a break from alcohol, that also works with milk. So you can just make chocolate, a fancy chocolate milk in a martini glass. And just use milk or cream instead of the Godiva. And if you want to dress it up even further, you can put whipped cream on top of that. You can, if it's frothy enough, you can actually drizzle right on top of that drink, and it will float at least for a little bit, kind of like they do with coffee. So you can see it. It'll be hard to see it, but it does float on top of that drink. Here, I'll angle the camera down if they can see that. So that works. You can also put some whipped cream on there, and you could get like a cheese grater and do some chocolate shavings on top of it, on top of your whipped cream, once you got a base to float it on. So there's a bunch of ways you can dress that up and make it even fancier. But what you have there, again, you can use raspberry vodka, you can use regular vodka. If you want to use something else, you can use that. So, but that's the interpretation that we have here. Okay, so the next one that we have This is the lowest alcohol drink on the menu. This is just similar to a vodka cranberry. So, depending on how strong you want to make it, we're going to make this one on the lighter side. So this one's a pretty easy drink to go down. You can make it with either 1 or 1.5 ounces of raspberry vodka, or any. I would recommend raspberry vodka with this particular one, because we're going to garnish it with fresh raspberries. Those are going to be our olives, so to speak. So we're going to take some raspberries and we're going to skewer them. And I'm going to get a martini glass. Shift these over for a second here. Oops, I think we did these out of order. This one, there's our white chocolate martini. There's our Paris burning. Okay. And so we are going to, this one, by the way, the titles, you can call them anything you want, really. This one's called Love Potion. I think that's where I found it. I found this one online. But again, this is basically just a dressed up vodka cranberry. So we're going to take, I'm going to rinse my shaker out. Okay, I need some more ice. Okay, so clear me a path here. Okay, and in our shaker, we're going to do, I'm just going to do 1 ounce. So this is going to be a super lightweight drink. 1 ounce of raspberry vodka. And then we are going to do 2 ounces of cranberry juice, or do pomegranate juice. So I don't think we have 2 ounces. 2 ounces. So that'll make 3 ounces total. And we are also going to put in a little bit of sweetened lime juice, about 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce, just to give it a little bit of tartness. And it gives a very nice red hue from the cranberry juice, or you can use pomegranate juice. Steph likes pomegranate juice, so in this case I use pomegranate juice. So this is probably a little darker than you would see if you use cranberry juice. But let's see what she thinks of that. So it's a very red cocktail due to the pomegranate. But if you use cranberry juice, it'll be a little lighter. If you use cranberry juice, I'd probably go a little lighter on the lime juice because cranberry is inherently tart. So give that a shot. And again, you can play around with the proportions. If you like a stiffer drink, you could use more vodka. You could use a 50-50 mix of vodka. You could almost go, 2 ounces of vodka and 1 ounce of cranberry. You can, if you're used to having your vodka cranberry with soda, you could splash it with soda water. You don't have to put it in a martini glass. This is just the Valentine's Day presentation of it, with our raspberry. So that is Love Potion. Okay, so the next one is Love Bug. And if you break down the ingredients in this, the Love Bug is essentially the closest that will come tonight to making a mule. So it's because it's got ginger beer in it. So it's got that ginger flavor in it, just like mules do. But it's going to be a little different just in the presentation, and we're going to be using some cranberry or pomegranate juice to make it red. If you use cranberry, that's where, if you saw on the ingredients list, cranberry juice, there's 2 ways to do this. You can use cranberry syrup, which is much thicker. It'll be much redder, much more concentrated, or you can use just regular cranberry juice that you would have in your refrigerator. If you use the cranberry juice, you'll probably want to add a little bit of that grenadine syrup to make it a little more red, because it'll be very light. I mean, unless you want a more like a pink drink. If you don't put grenadine in it, it's going to be more like the color of the pear martini. If you want it a little more red, then add some grenadine or use the pomegranate like we're going to use here. Okay, so here is our ginger beer. So we are going to do in a shaker. All right. And we are going to do 2 ounces of vodka. So in this case, we can just use regular vodka, or you can use a flavored vodka. You can stick with the raspberry vodka. Regular vodka for this one. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 ounces, so that's 8 counts. And in this one, we're going to just use 1 ounce of cranberry or pomegranate. So again, this is almost the inverse of the last drink. It's just more alcohol and less juice. The difference with this one is that we're also going to add the ginger to it, which makes it more mule-like. So we got our one ounce. And we're going to shake that up. Now, in this one, when I found this one, the way that they presented it was in an old-fashioned glass. So if you remember from the glassware back a couple episodes ago, old-fashioned glasses, some of them tend to be almost like that V shape, like that. So it looked nice in this, so I'm going to stick with that. So we're going to garnish this one and take our lime, and we're going to rim this glass with, I'm going to use red baking sugar on this one. So we'll get our red baking sugar, rim our glass. And on this one, I think this might be the only drink tonight that actually has ice in the glass. Most of these are martinis or straight up martini style where you're not putting that at all. But because we're putting ginger beer in this one, it works best with ice because the ice keeps your ginger beer from going flat too quickly. So we're gonna pour our cocktail out into the glass. And then we're gonna top it with ginger beer, and that gives you the gingery flavor. If you want, you can put a little bit of lime juice into it, but this drink stands on its own right there with, especially if you use cranberry, because the cranberry is tart. And that ginger beer will settle. You don't have to shake it or stir it too much. That will settle on its own. And there is your love bug. Okay. Now this next one is a classic. I'm sure we've all heard of this before, the Kir Royale. So it's basically, it's pretty basic. It's just champagne and chambord. So the only trick is to make sure that you do them in the right party foul. Okay, we'll get rid of that. And deal with that later, but the trick with the Kir Royale is you start with the chambord. So we're back to this unique liqueur that we have, raspberry liqueur. And so with this one, you don't want to put too much in a champagne flute, maybe an ounce or even a half an ounce if you want to be conservative. So we'll split the difference. We'll do like 3/4 of an ounce. And you could chill it with ice if you want, or you can just allow your chilled champagne to do the cooling effect for you. So the champagne, or it doesn't have to be champagne. It can be any sparkling wine, Prosecco. I just have a tiny bottle here. And we remember from the holiday episode how to open a champagne bottle. You remove the basket from the top, and then you can do it. You can use your sabrage sword. I don't have one with me, but that's the most dramatic and the most fun way to open a champagne. Or you can just twist it a little bit. I mean, the way the restaurant would do it would just pull it out, but I can't resist popping it and seeing how far it'll go. And then you just fill the glass the rest of the way. And the garnish for Kir Royale typically would be a lemon twist. And oh, I did forget to bring a lemon downstairs, so I'm going to just use a lime twist instead. And they actually have special tools that you can buy where it'll make a very thin twist. But the way that if you want to make a homemade twist, there is a special way that you're going to cut your fruit. So I'll kind of demonstrate that with a lime as opposed to a lemon. I'll put this down here. Okay, so what you're going to want to get is you're going to want to kind of get the long rib of the fruit. So you want to slice it that way, and you're going to want to cut down across the fruit. The longer the better usually, but if you peel that section out, and you don't have to get a lot of the meat or the rind, but you just peel that out, and then you give it a little twist like this. And a lot of times what you'll see is bartenders kind of going around the rim of the glass with the fruit like that. So this is, whoops, Sometimes they'll put it right in the drink like that. Sometimes they'll balance it on the edge, but our green, maybe that's our, whoops, probably can't see that. So maybe there's our little bit of advertising for St. Patrick's Day coming up. A little splash of green there instead of the yellow for our Kir Royale. All right. So this next one, we were talking about Goldschlager a little bit before. I'll tilt that up a little bit. I'm sure I can see. We were talking about Goldschlager. There's not a whole lot of drinks that I've seen that go with Goldschlager. It is, I mean, it's a very cinnamony. So, I mean, I know that there's a lot of popular drinks out there. There's like Fireball. It's like cinnamon flavored whiskey, but this stuff is very, very cinnamony. And, you know, the gimmick with it is, of course, the 24 karat flakes of gold. And there's all kinds of rumors out there online. They've all been dispelled that the purpose for the gold is it puts little cuts in your esophagus and that allows the alcohol to get into your system faster. Totally false. It has no bearing at all. That's just decoration. And we're not going to use much of it, at least not in this drink. So this one is called Cupid's Golden Arrow. So we are going to garnish our champagne flute with gold sugar, gold baking sugar, and that'll give us the effect. So I got that in this lid here, and we're going to take our lime, what's left of it, and going to rim our champagne flute with gold sugar. Okay, and what we are going to do then is we are going to put directly in the glass. You don't really need to chill this. If you want to chill the vodka and the Goldschlager, you can. Actually, I'll chill it. Or again, you could just let the cold sparkling wine do the trick. So I'll chill it a little bit. Our vodka. This is whipped cream vodka. You can use regular vodka. You could use other flavored vodkas. You can use chocolate vodka even, but the whipped cream vodka seems to go the best with the Goldschlager. So 1 ounce of that, 4 count. And we're going to do just 1/4 of an ounce or 1/2 ounce at most of this because this is very strong cinnamon flavor. Give it a real shake before you pour it. That way you'll get some gold into your drink and give it that nice effect, because that's the main thing we're looking for here with the Goldschlager is a little bit of that gold. So because we're using so little, I'm going to pour this directly in so that the gold doesn't get trapped under the ice. So just a little bit of Goldschlager. And then here is our chilled vodka, whipped cream vodka. Then we will finish that off with our champagne or our sparkling wine, Prosecco, whatever you want to use. And that overflowed a little bit. And it kind of made a nice halo around the top. But anyway, that is what it looks like with the gold rim and the champagne. And it gives you a little, you can see, can't probably see it too well, but there is some gold flecks at the bottom of the glass. So if you don't overflow and you don't get too much yellow in it, you'll be able to see the gold even better. But that's the idea behind the garnish in this drink. And the whipped cream vodka cuts the taste of the cinnamon so that it doesn't overpower your champagne. Let's tilt this up a little bit. Okay. And the last one that I have on my list for this evening, so this is not exclusively a Valentine's Day drink, but do we have any birthdays in the house this evening? No birthdays? Well, happy birthday to anyone who has a birthday in February or March. What we will do for this one, it's called chocolate cake. And this is an amazing feat of chemistry, because what you're going to do is combine hazelnut liqueur, which one of the more popular brands out there is Frangelico. It's not the only one, but it's a hazelnut liqueur. And you're going to combine that with citron vodka, which I don't use very often. I've had this little tiny bottle for years. So this one's Citron Absolute. So again, ingredients like this, go for the smaller quantity sizes, because you're going to have these around for a while, unless you really, really like these drinks and you're going to make them a lot. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to make it small. I'm going to do an ounce of each of these, because it's basically just 50-50. For this one, I would not chill it, because I would actually do the opposite. I would warm it in the microwave for maybe 10 seconds. So that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to take actually not in the glass that I'm going to make, that I'm going to serve it in. I'm going to do that separately, and I'll show you why in a second with the garnish. So we're going to take an ounce of the hazelnut liqueur. And an ounce of citron vodka. (50-50) mix. And I'll warm this for just maybe 10 seconds. You don't need to warm this, by the way, for it to work. You can, in fact, chill it if you want. I just choose to warm it instead of chilling it, because chocolate cake is best served warm. And for the garnish, I'm gonna use one of those mini Collins glasses we saw earlier. And so for this garnish, there's a little bit of a trick to it. We're gonna use baking icing. So tilt that down a little bit so you can see this. So we're just gonna take, this is just a little tube of icing from the baker's aisle, and you're just going to, instead of rimming your glass with lime or something like that, you're going to rim it with icing.
Another question from the crowd, John.
Yes.
Would you suggest an optional liqueur to replace the hazelnut for anyone with nut allergies?
To make this trick work, I don't know of any. You could research that, but for whatever reason, when you combine hazelnut liqueur with citron vodka, the chemistry works. It makes your body think that it tastes exactly like chocolate cake. And I mean, I would challenge you to defy that statement. It really does. I don't know why. I don't know if this actually has any, it probably would have to see if it has any essence of hazelnut in it, or whether it could just be yeah, it could just be artificial ingredients. So I cannot answer that. I don't know if it would have an effect on anyone with nut allergies or not. So I can't answer that statement. There are substitutes. So this is not the only brand out there. There are substitutes I just don't know that answer. You could try to find something that's artificially hazelnut flavored that won't give you the anaphylactic shock of having a nut in your drink. So this is just chocolate sprinkles. And so when you take that and dip your icing in there, that gives you a nice presentation for your chocolate cake. And there is your chocolate cake. You just pour that right in there. And Steph, verify, does that actually taste like chocolate cake?
Yeah, taste-wise, yeah.
So I don't know why it works, but it does. And if you try it, you'll see what I mean. It's just a 50-50 mix. That's just for the optical illusion. But what I would do is see if it works. Do a blind taste test. Give this to someone who, don't tell them what it is. Just say, hey, taste this. What does it taste like? See if they say chocolate cake. So that is our collection of drinks that we had on the agenda this evening, and we are well past the time, so we're at 7:15. So no one stopped me. So we did get through all of the drinks that were on the list. So at this point, we'll open it up to questions or requests for additional drinks or anything like that. So Mara, I'll turn it back over to you and see what we have. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and happy Valentine's Day.